Welcome to Natural Habitat Adventures Daily Dose of Nature. Today's presentation, What Camera Traps Reveal About Jaguars and Brazil's Pantanal, is brought to you by the founder of the Jaguar Identification Project, Abbie Martin. Thank you so much for being here today, Abbie. Over to you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. So let's get into it. I have a lot of really cool things to share with you all today. But first off, my name is Abbie Martin, and I'm the founder and director of Jaguar Identification Project. I'm originally from upstate New York, but I've been studying jaguar population ecology in the northern Pantanal since 2013. I have a master's in conservation ecology, and this month I will begin my PhD. So I'm really excited about this PhD. The project I'll be starting is Life Histories of Jaguars in a Changing Pantanal, the effects of fire, drought, and tourism on space use, survival, and reproduction. And my research basically aims to understand how multiple overlapping pressures, such as fire, drought, and wildlife tourism, interact to shape the ecology and demography of jaguars in the northern Pantanal. So last year, you guys had me on here, and I talked to you more about what Jaguar ID Project is and what we've been doing since we founded the project in 2015. But today I'm going to focus more on our camera trap project or Project Grid. But I do want to quickly try to catch up anyone who might have not seen last year's talk. So the Brazilian Pantanal. This is located in the center of South America. It's the world's largest seasonal wetland. So basically 6 months, it's completely flooded, and the other 6 months, it's extremely dry. This flooding moves through the region from north to south, and the ecosystem is shared between 3 countries, Bolivia, Paraguay, and Brazil. This area is quite large. It's much larger than the state of New York. 80% of the Pantanal is found in Brazil, and where I do my research is in the northern part. So what is Jaguar ID Project? This is a long-term conservation initiative that uses science, technology, and community involvement to, 1, 2, understand their lives across the landscape, 3, protect them through research-based conservation and responsible wildlife tourism. So how do we do that? We use a technique or a method called capture, mark, recapture, using the animal's spot patterns, or also known as a pelage pattern. These 2 individuals, Bagua and Queira, if you look right in the middle of the forehead, these 2 are distinctly different. So what is a pelage pattern? It's basically a scientific term used when referring to coats or patterns of animals. And why is this interesting to scientists like me? Is because it allows for that individual identification. Individual identification allows us to monitor populations over time. We can study their movements, their territories, and their behaviors. We can also track health, reproduction, and lifespan. So we can do all this without being invasive to the animals, and it can be done with any animal that has a unique pattern, such as sea turtles. So those scales on the side of the green sea turtles or the hawksbill sea turtles, those are like a fingerprint as well. They're born with this shape, and every individual is different. Eagle rays. See here, if you take a look at these 2 with the arrow, the one on top is distinctly different than the one on the bottom. Whale sharks, it gets a little bit harder underwater to get good photos, but if you pick a certain area and you focus in, you can see that these 2 individuals are different. Orcas, take a look at those eye spots right there. So basically all marked animals can be studied in this way. Since we've been doing this, since the beginning, or since my beginning time in 2013, we've documented almost over 490 individuals. And how do we document them? So basically we get in our research boat during the dry season months, which is from June to November, and we go up and down the river, we find a jaguar, we stop and we record a series of informations. We take a picture with our cameras, and with that image, we're able to identify who that individual is. For example, this is Patricia. And Patricia, every cat that we've recorded has their own profile. So inside their profile, we have everything we know about that cat, when she was first seen, who is she the mother of, who she's ever had relationships with, or anything unique about that individual. So now what I want to move into is more about the camera trapping. So what we're trying to do now is combine what we've been collecting over the last 13 years with tourism and handheld, hand-operated cameras with images collected with camera traps. So here she is again, Patricia, with a handheld camera. And if you look closely, you can see that's her on the camera trap image to the right. So those of you that don't know what a camera trap is, it's basically a motion censored spy camera for wildlife. The animal walks in front of it. The sensor senses the animal, it triggers the camera, and it can take videos or photos. We always use videos because we're not only interested in who the animal is, but also its behavior. And some of these nicer cameras, most of them, can also even record sound. So now we'll get more into what is new with Jaguar ID Project since the last time you guys had me here. I'm going to start us off with a video. I think it does this was like our intro video to this new grid project, and I think it does a really nice job at showing everyone what exactly what are we trying to do. Let me know if everything's okay on your side.
So since 2013, Jaguar Identification Project has been monitoring jaguars in the northern region of the Pantanal in a park called the Encantos das Aguas State Park. So up until today, Jaguar Identification Project uses mainly observational data. We also try to use tourism as a form of citizen science. And since 2013, we've ID'd almost 400 different jaguars just on the river's edge. The state park was created in the early 2000s, but since then, no one has actually studied the density or put a camera trap inside the state park. We've been focused on the population of jaguars along the river's edge. And we can see already how jaguars respond before, during, and after extreme events like fire or drought along the rivers. And the rivers have riverine forests, so there's kind of a buffer there. But we want to know what's happening outside this buffer area, how the jaguars are responding outside.
The field coordinator is organize the field campaigns. So now we have 17 stations with 34 cameras, 2 cameras per station. So we can get the both sides of the jaguars, and with that we can identify the individuals.
And it's been pretty exciting already because we've seen cubs at a very young age, a month old. We've seen new males, but they're not habituated. And so we're capturing them on the camera traps. And we're really excited to continue this project. We're going to do it for a long term, the next 4 years. And it's really fun to finally see what's away from the river's edge. We believe that this park holds the world's highest density, and we cannot wait to show the world
that. All right, so since the beginning, we've always been recording, as I said, jaguars along the river edge, but you really can't answer the big question, which basically initiated this project is density. So we have to answer that question. We have to go into the park. We have to get out of the boat and walk inside, set up camera traps. We had a lot of people telling us it was impossible, it was too dangerous, there was too much water, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, no one has ever even tried. So in 2024, we tried. We had nothing but a really cool dream and a lot of ambition. This is a photo of our grid. So the dark green is the state park. The light green is the grid, which is 311 square kilometers. All those yellow dots, those are our 17 stations that we talked about. Each station has 2 cameras, so we get both sides of the Jaguar if it walks by. But anyways, so we got enough cameras to set up this 4x4 kilometer grid, which is pretty standard for Jaguars. We had 17 stations, but then when we went in and got the data from 2024, we found out that even though 4 kilometers isn't very far for a Jaguar to walk, they weren't moving around. So basically, to get proper and good data on density estimates, which is a function of space and area, we need to have that same individual pass in multiple different sites. So if they pass in site 1, 2, and 3, we can then estimate that individual's home range, and then we do that for everybody, and then we can get a nice density estimate. But what we were seeing is that we weren't getting any recaptures. Basically, the Jaguars in site 1 were not moving around at all. So we had to think, like, why is this happening? And if we were to keep this model that we first came up with, we would get really low density estimates. And because we've been studying this area a long time before, we know that's not a good true sample of the region. So we had to think, like, why and what can we do to adjust? So basically, if we kept how it was, we'd be lowballing the region's Jaguar density. So in 2025, we decided to basically start all over. We added in a lot more work for ourselves, basically doubling our grid, putting the sites closer, and then leaving the cameras up all year round, not just in the wet season. So in the dry season, everything in the Pantanal, because it's flooded right now, like all the forests are flooded. There's very little dry land. And then starting in the months of May, June, the water starts to go down. So those banks show up. The Jaguars come to the river's edge. And if we're only sampling in the dry season, when everything a Jaguar needs, all of its water, all of its food, shelter, protection, everything a Jaguar needs is on that river's edge, during those other months, what are they doing? So they're not, and also, like, if everything it has is in that 4 kilometer area, it's not going to go far away if it doesn't need to. Usually Jaguars move around through their landscape looking for prey, mates. But if everything is right there next to the river, because everything else is uninhabitable for a Jaguar or not favorable for a Jaguar, that's why we decided that we are going to increase the grid. So basically the size of the grid is still the same, 311 square kilometers. Now, instead of 17 sites, we have 41 sites. And instead of 4 kilometer by 4 kilometer, it's about 2 or 2.5 kilometer by 2.5 kilometer. Still with 2 cameras at each points, but now we have 82 cameras. So this is a little video that we made after we finished the setup of this new grid for the second time. Play that for you.
We've been busy out here in the field working on Project Grid.
Yeah, perfect.
It's a 311 square kilometer grid with 82 camera traps at 41 different stations. To cover it all, we've tracked hundreds of kilometers.
All right, that's really deep. Maybe this wasn't the right way.
Through tough terrain, carrying heavy gear, but pushing forward, always. And yeah, we hit some obstacles. Curious animals. even buffalo blocking our way. But we kept going and set up every single camera.
We did it. The last point is installed.
And the reward? Jaw-dropping shots of jaguars right here in their natural habitat. This is Project Grid, and it's just the beginning.
All right, so what it actually took on the ground, because behind every one of these beautiful images and every data point that I'm sharing with you guys is immense field effort. For example, the July when we had to start all over, we decided to go into each of these new points, open up new trails with one team, with one boat and one bushman that is a local Pantanero and knows the region really well, knows how to deal with dangers. And it took us a month and a half to set up these 41 stations, 12 volunteers, and alternating between 3 different bushmen. So in November, we went in to check the cameras, take the SD cards out, change the batteries, make sure everything's good. But we got a little bit smarter this time, and we broke the grid into 3 working zones and 3 teams with 3 boats and 3 different bushmen. So we had a red team, a blue team, and a yellow team. And that way we were able to break that 1.5-month field effort into just 9 days with 8 volunteers and 3 bushmen. So now we've figured it out. And so when we'll go in now, the cameras have been up since November. We'll go in June because it's really hard and really unsafe to be walking in the wet season this far. Some of these trails, we're walking 9 miles away from the river. So 9 miles in water up to your waist is maybe not for some, but for most of anyone is impossible and very dangerous. But anyways, last year we walked more than 300 miles inside the park, sometimes in temperatures as high as 115 degrees with no shade. Often we're walking, like I said, up to our knees, sometimes up to our waist in this Pantanal water. Every day our feet are getting wet. There's no way around that. And of course, we have encounters with wildlife. We're carrying not only our camera trap equipment, but food, water, batteries, any tools, and our safety gear. And now I want to talk to you a little bit about the dangers. So there's a lot of people would think instantly like jaguars. They definitely have to be the most dangerous thing out there. But I have to tell you, every time that we ever encountered a jaguar on foot, and remember, we're in groups of 4, so it's not just like one person, and we're opening up trails, we're making a lot of noise, but every time we actually could see a jaguar on foot, it was always fleeting, because this isn't an area where humans are moving around on foot most of the time. When you're in the boat, the jaguar doesn't see you as an issue, or you're just part of the river system. But as soon as you get out of the boat and you start walking around, they're like, what is that? They get out of there. But we have water buffalo. This is a Indian water buffalo species. And then we also have killer bees. So I'm going to play a few videos of last year's field in November when I encountered buffalo on foot. I tried to record some videos from the field just to show you guys how crazy sometimes this really is.
We just got treed by some buffalo. It was for sure the scariest thing that has happened in this campaign. We had to go up a tree, and the buffalo started to come towards us, and I couldn't go up the tree, so I had to crawl into the bushes. And luckily, she's in charge. But holy shit, I don't know. Super scary. So just got treed.
So I can't even
Just to see. I'm
thinking
literally shaking right now.
of that moment. still makes me a little anxious. We were going into a point, and it was me, one volunteer, and one bushman, because one of the volunteers stayed back that day. And we are coming through a area that used to be a river, but in the dry season, it's just a dried up indentation. And we got there, and we heard a noise I have never heard before. The bushman was also like, "What is that?" And we were like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" He shot up this tree like nothing to see what it was. And of course, the volunteer goes, "It's a jaguar." And I was like, "Oh my God, if that's a jaguar, someone's gonna die because that animal is angry." And then the bushman's like, "Get up the tree, get up the tree, get up the tree." And of course, there was nowhere to climb on the tree, and I had this big backpack, and I couldn't untie it. And out of nowhere, the bushman goes, "Give me the quarter stick of dynamite in my backpack." And I'm like, "Oh my God, what do you mean?" I reach his backpack, and he's got a little, a little quarter stick of dynamite that he lights and he throws, because now he sees it's a buffalo, but he can see the buffalo is really mad. And so he goes to throw it, and of course there's no water, but at that moment, in that place where he threw it, it landed in the only puddle and goes poof, and the buffalo does not move. He's still there, and thank God he had two. So he's like, "Give me the other one," hand it to him, throws it, and this time, boom. And you could hear and feel and see the whole forest moving and the animals running away. And we were able to put up the drone to see what was happening. And once we got up high enough, we could see that there was just like one little watering hole, and we were right next to it. So the buffalo were probably defending their only resources, and also people aren't walking around in there, so they were like, "What is this?" Defense mode. And I need to learn how to climb trees faster, so that was really, really scary. And the first year our team never had an encounter quite like this. And then the next thing I want to share with you guys is the killer bees. So these are Africanized bees. They were introduced to the Pantanal. They are very dangerous, and I think a lot of people get confused. Like, one killer bee stinging you isn't what kills you. Is that the whole entire colony hive attacks you, and they go for your face. And it doesn't matter if you're allergic or you're not allergic. You're getting thousands and thousands of bee stings. There's a reason why elephants and buffalo are scared of bees. So after this buffalo day, I was like, we're not going back in that area without a tractor. So we were able to get a farm. The farm that we were operating in, they're like, "Okay, yeah, you can use our tractor." It was like, I felt like I was the queen of the Pantanal riding on the back of this tractor. I was like, "Oh my God, why haven't we been doing this all along? This is amazing." And of course, we get stuck on a trunk, and often bees, they'll have their hives in rotting wood or old stags. And so we get stuck on a trunk, and what comes out are the killer bees. So this is the video of that, and it's really amazing to see what these bushmen do in order to instantly respond to these situations. I would have never thought of this. So today wasn't buffaloes, but it was bees. So we got the tractor to bring us into the point, and we found a killer beehive. And they're not very happy with us, and we had to abandon the tractor. And we left all of our water and all of our supplies there. The boys made a DIY smoke bomb with termites, a termite nest, and they were able to get close enough to the tractor to get at least our food bag and our bag that has the camera. Right now they're trying to get the water. So keep you posted. But so basically, after the volunteer, we stopped on the thing. The volunteer looked over the edge, and he just yells in Portuguese, "Run, bees!" And we all just jumped off the tractor and ran as far as we could. But we didn't jump off with our water, our food, our radios. We had one machete. That was it. And we are now 6 miles inside the bush. And instantly, I'm about to have a panic attack, because I know if we can't get our water and we are that far away, like, this is not good. But the bushman ran up the tree again, kicked down a termite mound. And I'm thinking, what is he doing? He cuts it in half with a machete. He puts in a bunch of leaves, and luckily the other bushmen had a lighter on them. They light these leaves, and they close the termite back together, and now it's a homemade smoke bomb. And what controls bees, especially honeybees and killer bees, is smoke. And so he was able to use that to get our water and our food. And here is the next video. I'm sorry. I'm having a little issue here. Here we go.
There's our tractor. And the boys are making a smoke bomb.
So I picture my mom just kind of making it some embers inside so it continues to smoke. And of course, so now
The boys just went back in to try to save the tractor.
so now they go in to see the tractor, but it's completely glitched on my side. I'm not sure. But anyway, so that you can hear it. The tractor's not starting, of course. And they're getting some by
The tractor's not starting.
But anyway, so this is the third turnover not starting. And then
Oh God,
they get it going. The tractor's on. They get it here, and they get it out of there, and they save the day. I don't know if those videos are playing for you on my side. They aren't at all. We're just hearing sound. But anyways, it was a crazy, crazy experience, and it definitely was mind-opening for everyone on the team on like how to respond quickly in those situations with those dangers. We also, here's a video of one of the volunteers. He encountered a jaguar as he stepped out of the boat.
I just stepped out of the boat to start taking a pee, and I saw the grass is starting to move, walking towards me. So I was like, oh, maybe we should push the boat off. And then this guy just comes out of the grass right in front of us.
Oh, he's just laying in there, you think?
The video
I just stepped out of the boat to start.
But anyway, so he was stepping out of the boat to see if it was a good spot to set a camera, and he was the first one off, and the grasses were moving in a way that wasn't the wind, and what came out was a huge male jaguar, just happened to have been right in that one spot that we chose to get out of the boat. So that's why it's really important to make sure your boat drivers and your guides take a good look at an area before you ever get out of a boat. This particular location, we were definitely playing with fire, but no one got hurt, obviously. So what did we achieve in 2025? Basically, we had to analyze, after going in November, getting all those SD cards, bringing them back, putting them in our computer. We had 400,000 30-second videos to go through. Thank gosh for AI, because AI, there's a lot of, if the wind blows or something, the camera will trigger and it'll take a lot of videos. So there's a lot of blanks, but you have to go through each one of those videos to be sure you're not throwing away a video of a jaguar. So after going through those 4,000 videos, we ended up with 394 videos of jaguars, which in 2 to 3.5 months, 400 videos of jaguars is a lot. And with those 400 videos of jaguars, we were able to see that there was 83 different jaguars in just 2 to 3 months. This is a huge number of individuals with just a short period of time. Some projects that study jaguars with camera traps for years will never even get to that number of 83 individuals. And when you break down the population, we had 41 females, 31 males. We had 11 adults that we were not able to ID the sex or the gender of the individual, and we had 6 new cubs. Out of those 400 jaguar camera trap captures, females were actually recorded more than males with 184 videos. We had 168 videos of males and about 42 videos that we were not able to ID because sometimes it's really fast or the wind's blowing, the video quality is really bad. But then, so now we want to look at since the beginning. So now comparing 2024 and that first grid that we did in 2025 and bringing it together, we have on 139 different Jaguars. 63 different Jaguars were seen in 2024 and 83 Jaguars in 2025. And this is showing, so these are the 2 years, and then you have the known individuals or observation citizen science. So these are the Jaguars we knew who they were before coming into the camera trap project. So these are the Jaguars that are in the book. These are the ones that have the profiles. So out of those 64 individuals from 2024, 27 were known individuals and 40 were never seen before. Same thing in 2025, but we had 39 known individuals and 44 camera trap only individuals. But if you're looking at the percentage of camera trap only of the whole population, over half of the Jaguars detected by Project Grid would have remained undocumented without this systematic camera trapping. So this is really, really cool information for us. It's definitely telling us that this project is worth it, and there's way more Jaguars than we ever once believed. Here's a video. Hopefully this plays for you guys. It's a compilation of some of the camera trap videos we got from this last year. And it's not playing on my end, so I guess it's probably not playing on yours. And, oh. Well, maybe in, yeah, it's not wanting to load here, unfortunately, guys. I'm sorry about that. But if you do want to watch any of these videos, we often post them on our socials, on our YouTube. They're on our website as well. But continuing on without the videos. So this was a 1 second. So we left a few of our, from 2024 to 2025, we left a few cameras up all wet season. Again, people told us it's not going to work. The flood's going to come up too high. You're going to lose your cameras. But what we did is we just, because all the trees, maybe in this photo, you can kind of tell that the trees have a mark of last year's flood. So last year's flood was a really good flood. So we assume that this year is not going to be any higher than last. And we put the cameras above that mark and above that high water mark. And we angled the cameras down so we can still capture the Jaguar spot pattern and still be able to identify them in the wet season. This is a video of 2 minutes in 6 months of the wet season. And it just shows you how the water goes up and how the water goes down, and that the Jaguars are still using this area. You have moms and cubs coming through here. We have giant armadillos, giant anteaters, a lot of cool animals that you would imagine would go to higher ground, but because there isn't much higher ground, they're still using the area just like they did in the dry season. Oh, and it's playing. Anyways. That was a Jaguar that ran by. The giant armadillo. So where that Jaguar is walking is the edge of the river in the back there, and you'll soon see that the water starts to come up and over that river's bank. Here comes the water. You can start to see that it's entering the forest there. Here's the ducks. All the ducks. Maybe the water buffalo. So it's almost getting to the peak height of where the water comes. Now it's April. And right around April is when the water starts to, or the end of April, water starts to go down. June, sorry, May. Yeah, there you go. May 31st starting to lower. And then June, watch from June 1st till the next 6 days later, completely gone. So it's super dynamic and fluctuations of wet and dry, and very quick. But we're also, these camera traps can also contribute to the broader understanding of the ecosystem's health, prey-predator relationships, and how different species respond to environmental stressors. Here's a photo of an ocelot and an ocelot cub in the same area where we captured jaguars. We have a lot of tapirs. Tapirs are pretty much in all of our camera traps. Here's a really cool video of a caiman barking. So this is like their call. It's like a mating call, and we were able to capture it. I think if I let it chill here for a second, it might load like the other one did. So let's see, give it a few seconds here. Yeah. Oh. So that's a caiman bark. A lot of times people hear that and they think it's a jaguar, but it's a caiman. So the groundwork, so we're also collecting biological samples in the field. This is kind of like gold for us because we're able to get really, really fresh fecal samples. And whenever we see that, we collect it because it allows for us to study genetic diversity, diet, stress levels, reproductive health, parasites, and other general health statuses. We were doing a camera trap tree project. So this is from a boat. This is Medrosa. She's really famous for jumping from trees. She's an individual that's still down there, and this is her hunting technique. And we are in our research boat. It's a really amazing hunting technique. And some of her cubs are also using this technique. Her sister and her mother also uses the trees as a outlook area for hunting. And so we've started to install some cameras inside the trees on the river's edge, right on the edge of the river, to see what was going on in these trees when no one was there, when there was no tourism boats. And again, sorry guys for the lag. There's so many cool videos I want to share with you. But anyways, so this is a video of Medrosa and her cub, Pantanal, and then a male known as Osado went up in the tree with them. So there was 3 jaguars in the tree at the same time. Really unusual, not what we would expect. This place is so incredible with the amount of individuals that exist in that area that jaguars are considered solitary predators. But what we are discovering is that there's so many of them in this super population in Port Joffre that they have to be social, and they have to figure out a way to deal with each other, whether that's hierarchy. And that's kind of usually what we see is like there's a more dominant individual, the other one shows a submissive position, and they go on their way. Sometimes we do see a true fight, but a lot of times when these individuals encounter each other, usually they often will feel each other's presence and avoid. Sometimes other individuals will follow each other, and when they actually interact, it's usually a lot of noise. Maybe they're pulling down the branches and stuff. It looks crazy, but they're not necessarily really fighting each other. And usually they walk away fine, because if they do truly fight, often that brings injury, which can cause infection and lower the fitness of the individual. Let's see if this plays, because I have like 3 or 4 more videos I wanted to show you. It's an area where there's a scratching tree, and basically every jaguar that comes by this tree marks on it. And we had one night where it's not going to work. Sorry, guys. So we had one night that we had 4 different male jaguars coming to this one spot. So this is Bagua here. And then we have a really quick video of Makala, who's a young male, coming and marking on the tree, leaving his scent. And then we have all we see in this video, you can kind of see the tail end of the jaguar there. We just see a jaguar shoot up the tree. Moments later, and that's Pantanal, by the way. And moments later, this big guy known as Forastero shows up. So Pantanal ran up that tree, probably to get away from this big guy. But instead of going on his way, he decides that he's going to wait till Pantanal comes down. So he just sits down, and it takes about 15 minutes before you can start to see, like in this video, it's not playing, it's not easy, but you can see that there's pieces of bark falling down. You can hear that something's coming. And then Pantanal shows up, and we expected a fight, but Pantanal just taps Forastero in the face. They kind of greet each other, and there's some snarling, but nothing aggressive, like I mentioned. And this, for us, kind of shows that there might be a parental relationship between this young male and this dominant male. It could be his father. We don't know that for sure. But then somewhere in between that interaction and Bagua shows back up. This is the other male in the very beginning. He shows back up and he fights them. Well, he fights Pantanal. Pantanal rolls on his back. You see that, you can kind of see in the corner, he's kind of showing a submissive pose, being like, okay, you know, and then he sits down with his head down. That's another kind of submissive gesture, saying like, we're kind of done here. But it's just so amazing to see these interactions at night, or when no one is watching. And I don't know, I feel like this whole camera trap project has just opened up so many different angles for us. So why this changes conservation for the region? Basically, Project Grid will help us better plan for this protected area. We can now understand impacts of fire and drought at a different level, not just what we can see on the river's edge. And we'll also be able to understand jaguar demographics at a deeper level as well. So this work will provide the first solid evidence-based answers to how much disturbance jaguars can tolerate, so that conservation and tourism decisions in the Pantanal is based on data, not guesswork. And with that being said, thanks to Project Grid, because now we know that the Pantanal is even more wild and even more alive than we ever imagined. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Brooke, but here we have, if anyone wants to take a screenshot of this and you want to follow our work, here's our website, our socials, our email. If you want to send us an email, you have more questions later on. And how can you guys help? We are always needing more camera trap equipment. It's amazing how the buffaloes and the jaguars destroy our work. Also sponsoring a field campaign, that's a huge way to help this project, because those campaigns they're not cheap. We need to have a lot of safety equipment and more people in the field, especially dividing into 3 teams like we did, which makes it a lot safer for everyone. We don't get so tired, and our work is done much better and quicker. All right, so Brooke, I'm going to hand it back to you now, and if we have any questions.
Oh, Abby, that was amazing. Thank you so much for all of those updates. It's amazing to see how far your work has come since I visited you in the Pantanal and Project Grid was started. And now look how far it's come for anybody who saw our first conversation and to see how it's come, how far you've come. That was amazing. And thanks for all of those behind the scenes videos. I was completely wrapped, especially with the water buffalo. I can only imagine how scary that was. Oh my gosh. Alrighty, everyone. Like Abby said, we have some time to chat with her. I am more than happy to uh, ask your questions. So please put them in the chat field there, and we will get through as many as we can until the top of the hour. Oh, this is a very fun first question, Abby. How do the Jaguars get their names?
Yeah, that is a good question. Okay, so how it works with Jaguar ID is basically if you're there and you take a picture. So we have these books available at lodges, and in the past, Natural Habitat had handed them out to all of their visitors. Basically, you take your picture of your Jaguar, you look at your camera, you try to find the cat inside the book. If you can't find the individual, you send it to us on our website, jaguaridproject.com. You can upload it through the website or you can send it by email. We will respond to you. Also, your guide will know a lot of these individuals and they can directly talk to us. And so we will tell that because then this book has 92 individuals. But remember what I said, we have over 490 now. So it will be sent to us, and then our expert Jaguar identifiers will look through the full guide. And if it doesn't match anything, you get to give the name. The person that first photographs the Jaguar and sends the image to the project gets to name the individual.
Wow. Talk about incentive to submit your photos if you visit the Pantanal.
And also, it's important to note that every year, it seems like, oh, maybe you're never going to find a new Jaguar, but from year to year, we have almost 40 new individuals submitted to the project. So even if you think your photo didn't matter and it was a quick shot, you never know. So please, yes, do send your images if you plan on visiting.
Oh, we'll make sure we tell everybody in our upcoming Brazil season to do the same because you never know. Oh, we have a request for t-shirts. How can somebody order a t-shirt?
So we have a little bit of difficulty with our merchandise. What I always say is if you are coming to the Pantanal, you can buy it directly with our team. You can tell your guide you'd like to do we'll open up the Jag Swag store on our boat. We'll come right up to you guys and we sell that way. We do on our website, you can go into merchandise. We don't have so much available there, but there's another site called Bonfire. And on Bonfire, you can buy your shirt, you can buy a hat. But if you want those shirts that you see the team wearing and stuff like that, we really only sell them on site. We haven't been able to get to a point yet to have a good active online store, unfortunately. But
If somebody wants to sponsor a camera trap, do you have a preferred brand? And how would you like that system to work?
yeah, so again, on our website, we have on how you get involved. There's a donate a camera trap button. Also, if you scan that QR code on the screen that you're seeing right now, it will bring you right there. Our preferred brands are the Browning, the HD, full HD. But we also have worked with Guard Pro in the past. But if you are interested in donating a camera trap and you want to talk about it, or if you wanted to bring one to us when you come to visit, that's also really nice and really helpful because then I don't have to lug it all from the States down there. But also you can contact us on our website on our email, and I can chat more to you about that.
Fantastic. Does the Jaguar ID project accept volunteers?
We do accept volunteers, but not so much like in the field to work on this camera trap project because of the dangers. It depends. You send me an email, we can talk about things, but we really need people that have a lot of experience in these types of conditions. If you've never worked in an environment like this, it might look really cool here on the screen, but I can tell you it is not easy at all. But we also are always trying to have volunteers, whether that's a virtual volunteer if you want to help and do outreach with Jaguar ID. We also have an education center, which I didn't talk about it in this talk, but we just opened an education center right in the town right before, where we're offering English classes to the local community, children. And that's one way you can come volunteer with Jaguar ID, would be to teach English at the education center, which is right at the beginning of the Transpontanero Road. And of course, you would come see some Jaguars with us for sure too. But send an email.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great. Oh, this is a fun question. Asking about the future. What are your next steps/goals that you're working towards?
Yeah, so this camera trap project will go for another year, and then we will have our first year was like a preliminary study year, try to figure it out, and then we have 2 years of data, and then we won't do the grid for 2 years, and then we'll do it for every 2 years, and we hope to do that 2 and 2 years for as long as the project can continue and we are able and capable of going out there and doing this, because to get actually really good information on a species like a jaguar, which is a long-lived species. They can live up to 15 years. We have one individual we have multiple individuals now that have lived 17 to 18 years. To really talk about the population of a long-lived species, you need long-term data. So the project is going to continue to do what it's always been doing, using citizen science. We monitor during the season and camera trapping. The grid is a lot of work to do that every single year. So we are actually trying to expand after this year is our final project grid for now. We're expanding into the Amazon region of Mato Grosso. So Mato Grosso state is really big, and the northern part of it is actually the southern Amazon. And then you have Cerrado, and then you have the Pantanal. So we are expanding up into the Amazon. We have goals to move a grid up there on a river called the Teles Pires that has a lot of registers of melanistic jaguars, the black jaguars. So we'd really like to study in new areas and expand Jaguar ID to other areas.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah.
You and I need to connect offline about that. Now that I just heard that's one of your goals.
Yeah.
I might have some Amazon contacts for you about that who are studying jaguars, but we will talk about that later. Okay, let's see here. We have so many good ones coming in.
Oh, good.
Talking about your amazing camera trap grid, do you have any awesome videos or any behaviors of the jaguars going after caiman on your traps?
We don't. So since the cameras are placed away from the rivers, we really don't get too much of that, but we have gotten some of them just dragging prey by the camera. So we're not getting them like in the attacking area because it needs to be on the river's edge, and that's kind of what we're checking out, what isn't there. But we've gotten jaguars carrying huge caimans in front of the cameras. We've got them carrying anacondas. They love anacondas as well. What really makes me excited is to see the mom and cubs in front of the cameras. Last year we had some really nice recordings where they decided to play in front of the camera and lay down and jump on each other and have all this vocalization. It's my favorite thing. We got a female who was moving her litter. It looks like she had 3 cubs, and she was moving each one of the cubs across the camera. So like we'd see her go by with a teeny little cub in her mouth, and she never came back this way. So she must have been circling around, but she came again with another cub and again with another cub. So it's really cool to kind of see some of that other stuff. But we've gotten ocelots. We got an ocelot hunting in the video and in the camera, and it had a baby caiman in its mouth. So it was like a baby jaguar with a baby caiman. That was kind of cool. But I think on our YouTube we have some of these videos, these compilations of fun stuff that we've gotten.
Oh, amazing. Somebody just messaged in that they just completed a sponsorship on the website and that was really easy. So,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for that. That was wonderful. And somebody's asking if they can donate 120 for you to get the camera you want. And they also want to know where you're going to be getting your PhD.
So, yes, you can definitely donate. If you just make a donation on, I think there's on our website, it says donate. You can just write 120. You can write in your notes, just write camera trap, and we'll know what that's for. But PhD, so a lot of people don't know this, but in Brazil, higher education is free, even if you're not Brazilian. So I actually did my master's down there as well. And I'll be doing my PhD with the Federal University of Mato Grosso. So it's the main federal university of the state of Mato Grosso.
That's perfect because it's right in the same area for anybody who needs to think of the map. It's right there.
Yes.
Yep. Oh, great. Oh, this is a fun question. Could you talk about any other studies that are going on in the similar area that you work? Is anybody else studying other species or anything in alignment with what you're doing?
Yeah. There's another really wonderful project called the Giant Otter Project. So I talked all about jaguars today, but there's another amazing species that's down there. Is the giant otter. Is the world's largest otter, head to tail. It can get up to 6 feet long. They are huge and they live in groups, super vocal, really fun to watch. So often when you're looking for the jaguars, you get to see the otters as well. So there's a Giant Otter Project, and giant otters have a mark here on their throat. And when they come out of the water, you can see that mark and it's like a fingerprint. And so they're doing the same exact research that we're doing with like recording individuals and groups because they live in groups and how they're fluctuating with fires because in Pantanal, fire is part of the ecosystem. We have like a time of the year where it's really, really dry. A big storm comes in, lightning hits, starts fire. The fire moves across the region. So seeing how climate change is coupling with making it more dry and less rain. So we're getting more intense fires in the past. And so because of that, they're seeing that the giant otters are responding really poorly to fires. Also, there's a lot of jaguars. So we work with them in understanding the dynamics of the jaguar and the giant otter, because the giant otter is the predator, the top predator of the river. Obviously, one-on-one outside the water, jaguar. But in a group, when a group of 5 or 6 giant otters come screaming at a jaguar, the jaguar runs away. Hopefully some of you get really lucky or have been lucky enough to see that interaction between those two apex. But yeah, Giant Otter Project. Those guys are doing really cool research in the region.
I'm so glad you brought them up. Their Instagram and their online presence is also very interesting. So if anyone who loves otters, definitely give them a follow. They're doing fantastic work. I know we're getting super close to the end, but I do think this is a fantastic question here. How can somebody, if they go on that HABS Pantanal trip, will they have a chance to interact with the JIP project?
So it's not set in stone yet, but we are talking with the headquarters of Natural Habitat to include Jaguar identification as part of your tour. So basically, if this gets the thumbs up, which it doesn't seem like it won't, I had a meeting the other day. It looks really positive, and that means me or someone from Jaguar ID will come visit your group when you come to Port de Joffre or when you come to the Northern Pantanal, and we'll give you a lovely Jaguar ID book. And I'll also give another presentation that's not this one. It's a little bit more focused on the general Jaguar ID project. So yes.
Oh, this gives me the warm and fuzzies. So thanks setting up everything and now to see how far it's come. Oh,
yes. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. This is what I'm here for. All the connections. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. All right, Abbie, we have gotten to the top of the hour somehow already. Your presentation was so fascinating and I loved every second. And so I will turn it to you for any last closing comments for us on this Friday.
I think the biggest message is come visit, come see, meet some of these cats, and then you can come share these stories with people because, even though we're talking about one individual, when you go home and you can say that you met Bagua or Makala or these individuals, it's a lot more interesting to tell the stories to your friends and family. And really, visiting the Pantanal helps the locals, and it also protects the Jaguars. So I think that's my biggest message: is come check us out. It's an amazing place.
I could not agree more. I talk about Madroza all the time still. Just amazing. It's an amazing place, an amazing experience, and these incredible researchers who are doing everything to save these great cats for all of us. Oh,
Mhm.
Abbie, thank you so much for taking the time to present to us today. And I would like to thank everybody who tuned in. If you're interested in information on how you can travel with NatHab and maybe go see Abbie and the JIP team in the Pantanal, give us a call at 800-543-8917 or send us an email at info@nathab.com. Our adventure specialists are more than happy to help you. Join us Monday for our next daily dose of nature. You can check out next week's lineup, including registration links, on our website at nathab.com/webinars. We did record today's presentation, and the replay will be available on our website soon. With that, I will conclude the webinar. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.